Uh-oh. Last time the clock was this loud, people had died. What was that sound? It was too loud to be a figment of my imagination. I need to go check. The house was very dark at night and as quiet as always. I hope you took your sword with you, girl. Right now, the silence feels ominous. I prayed nothing out of the ordinary would happen as I checked the rooms. I saw a light seeping out from under a door into the hallway. The parlor. Is someone in there? I opened the door and stepped inside. I looked around the parlor. There was nobody there. Did someone forget to turn off the light? I hadn't found the origin of the loud sound, but I hadn't found anything unusual either. I suppose I must have There was a knife lying at my feet. Why is this here? I picked it up. Gotcha, girl. How interesting. So, her marriage is called off. She's framed for her parents' murder. Somehow thinks that she killed them? Did they try to kill her? Oh man, I gotta wait. I gotta wait before I start theorizing. I'm gonna just clamp a lid on that for right now. To the past. It was my father's birthday. My mother and I had gone out shopping, and on the way home I broke the news. Are you serious about this? Of course, Mother. I want to be a police officer. I want to protect the weak. You could protect the weak as a politician like your father. That's true, but I don't like sitting around. I don't think I would be a good politician. So I want to be a police officer. Cyrus, just because you want to doesn't mean you can. They have a strict entrance examination that you'll need to pass. The promotions are also exam-based, I believe. There's probably a lot of physical work and sometimes injury. I don't want this future for you, especially considering your medical condition. That's true. It's probably not a good idea given my blood. But despite that, I still want to be a police officer. I don't want my blood to stop me. I'll take precautions to avoid truly serious injury. Please. I don't want you to have any kind of injury. But you're always so stubborn. Trying to change your mind is probably impossible. Does that mean I have your blessing? It does. It's my job to help you make your life a happy one. If this is what you want, then I have to support it. It won't be easy for you, but I'm sure you'll accomplish it. I will. I'll never do anything to shame the Distella family name. I will work hard to become a police officer that you and Father can be proud of. That's kind of sad. And we're back. Darkness. At first there was nothing but a starless black void. Then I began to come back to my senses, starting with smell, and a weird sense of déjà vu. I could smell dust. I could smell perfume. And a moment later, my sense of touch returned. My fingers were drenched in warm liquid. As I flexed my knuckles, I came to an important realization. I existed. I was alive. My parents, not so much. I'm at home. My vision blurred every time I took a breath. It was hard to focus on anything. There was a stinging pain on the back of my head. But at least I had to get up. I took 2 deep breaths and pushed myself up. Ow, my head. The back of my skull ached. What on earth? But there was a large pool of blood on the floor, and in the middle of it, I saw my mother and my father. Why? Both had gory wounds on their necks and lines of drool running from their mouths. Their wide eyes were sightless and unblinking. I didn't have to check for vital signs to know that they were dead. But why? Who? Why? For what? Questions overwhelmed my thoughts like a noisy crowd. My heart began to race. What? Huh? I looked up and saw myself in the mirror. I was clutching a blood-stained knife. So they put the knife in your hand. I dropped the knife in shock. It made a light clang on the blood-drenched floor. What is this? Who did this? Who? I was the one holding the knife. Therefore, the one who... Mother and father... is me? That's the conclusion you draw after getting knocked out in the middle of the night and waking up to your parents dead after you found the knife you're probably holding in your hand right now? In your hand when you woke up? That's the conclusion? Girl, how hard were you hit on the head? It's the police. A knock at the front door made me jump. We had a visitor. My heart felt like it was going to explode, like it was about to explode. I was having trouble breathing. It was like there was a heavy weight pressing on my chest. Who? Cyrus, it's me. That voice. Hey! What happened? Stay calm. Come in and I'll explain. But just come in, will you? Roger. Help me clean this up, Finn. I still don't really have any idea what's going on, but now Finn's here. What should I do next? Was it a mistake to let him inside? I couldn't ignore what had happened. Finn came to walk with me to the temple every day. Not telling him about what had happened to my parents would seem suspicious to anyone.
Where are you hurt? We need to get you to the hospital.
No, this isn't... I started to reach out, trying to calm Finn's confusion. Then I realized my hand was covered in blood. I hid it behind my back instead. Don't worry, I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. But this isn't my blood. I'm not hurt.
But whose...
I couldn't bring myself to say it. I turned to look at the scene on the floor again. When Finn saw the lifeless bodies of my parents, all the color drained from his face.
What? No. Why did this... But... That can't be, Cyrus.
I don't know what's going on. I wanted to believe that all this was some kind of sick prank designed to shock me. Mother and father are dead. They won't laugh with me anymore. They won't call my name again.
But this is just so... Why are they? I don't...
Finn paced the floor erratically, his whole manner one of obvious distress. But at least I wasn't alone now. Having someone there with me helped me regain my composure. Who would do this? It's possible that the killer was me.
Was it?
No, I don't think so. I'd like to hope that it wasn't. I wanted to be sure, but couldn't be. The uncertainty had my stomach in knots. I had no memory of killing them. They were already dead when I woke up. However, I had clearly been the one with the knife.
What happened? Tell me everything.
Yes. Right. I closed my eyes, concentrating on the things I knew for certain. Man, Finn is great to have in a crisis. Like, he didn't start accusing. He's just like, alright, from the top, what happened? I was very tired yesterday, so I went to bed soon after coming home. In the night, a loud sound woke me. I couldn't ignore it and got up to search the house. Nothing was out of the ordinary. except one detail. I saw light seeping out into the dark hallway from one of the rooms. Assuming my parents were inside, I went in. But there was nobody there. And then I lost consciousness. You missed the point of you found a knife at your feet as you were leaving, and you felt a sharp pain at the back of your head. When I came to, it was morning. I was holding this knife. My mother and my father were lying on the floor, dead. Finn hadn't moved a muscle throughout my account, listening in silence. That's all, I added helplessly, even though it seemed obvious. Do you see the knife? I was carrying that. It appears that my parents were stabbed. I'm the most obvious suspect. No. Finn's refusal was strong and clear. No. There's no way you'd kill your parents. Stay still. Finn pressed his fingertips against the back of my head. Ouch! Sorry, but that hurt, didn't it? Someone knocked you unconscious. Your parents must have been killed after that. I'm certain that you're innocent. Finn. I had no memory of attacking my parents, but the facts of the situation made me the most reasonable suspect under ordinary circumstances. Finn's faith in me had dispelled my own doubt about whether I was guilty or not. I can't be. I realized that I was beginning to tear up. I berated myself that this was no time to lose my steadfast self-control. If you're not going to lose your self-control, waking up in the morning after being knocked unconscious, thinking you might have killed your parents who are both dead on the floor in a pool of their own blood, I don't know when you're going to lose your self-control. Now isn't the time to cry. I'll have enough time later. I took a deep breath to help me order my thoughts. Who would do this? I don't know. But it's a bad situation. If anybody finds out, they'll suspect you first. That's the thing. It's like I think, since the depths is where prisoners are sent, someone wants her to go down there. And they set it up beforehand by calling off her marriage out of the blue. Were they going to come and try and kidnap her, but then her parents got in the way, so they killed them and tried to frame her for it instead, so she would just be sent down there as a prisoner? So that means someone in government would have had to set it up. Presumably. But why? This is my theory so far. This is my theory. Finn's right. I imagined what a stranger walking into the scene would have deduced. They'd have declared Cyrus to Stella a murderer without hesitation. That doesn't mean I should conceal the crime. I couldn't leave my parents like this. My father was a politician. His colleagues would soon notice his absence. I'm surprised there's been no servants that have come in during this time as well. I considered concealing the corpses, but didn't know of any location where they'd remain hidden. Hide their corpses? The thought alone was practically an admission of guilt. Trying to maintain a facade was almost certain to end in disaster. You don't have a lot of options. I'll tell Sir Cordoa the truth. My words startled Finn. You're right. This is a bad situation for me. But the more I try to hide, the worse it will become. I want to go to him and tell him the truth. That's the best solution, I think. I agree. Yes. I think so too. You can go home if you want. I'll go to Sir Cordoa. No, I'll accompany you. I don't want to leave you alone. Finn. I'm your partner. Let me help you when it counts. Thank you. Thank you for being there for me. Mother and father are dead. They won't come back. But Finn was still there. He said he believed in me. His kindness knocked the wind out of my sails, and the tears I'd held back before returned, almost overwhelming me.
Cyrus.
No, don't come closer. Finn stepped forward to comfort me, but I stopped him. You shouldn't get any blood on your uniform. I'm strong. I'll be okay. I'll change into my uniform. Please, wait outside.
Roger. I'm your friend. No matter what happens.
Thank you, Finn. Finn, best boy so far. Not that I've had a chance with most of the other guys yet, but...
Is all that really true?
Yes. I would not joke about the death of my parents.
No, of course you wouldn't. Well, do you have any suspicions?
No, nobody. My father and my mother were both well liked. As a politician, he no doubt had enemies, though. At the very least, I don't know of anybody who bore ill will towards them.
I see.
Sir Cordoa, what will happen to Cyrus now?
It depends. Her father's profession may make things more complicated. I'll order an immediate investigation. As you'll be part of it, Tistella, please remain within the temple.
Understood.
Euclase.
I'll stay with her.
Alright. You need to be strong now, Tistella.
Yes, I know. Well, at least, Cordoa didn't jump down her throat. He's like, I'll investigate it. So, kudos. This was the only possible course of action, but I feel uneasy. No matter what I did, it couldn't change the fact that my parents were dead, gone from me forever. Everything reminded me of that. But this is for the best. Attempting to hide their deaths would have done nothing except make me the prime suspect. This was the best choice.
Do you want to go to the chapel?
The chapel?
Yes. I thought you might want to pray for your parents. Not that it'll make any difference, but...
Finn looked away and mumbled a dejected apology. Yes, I'll do that. But if I'm alone right now, I think I'll go insane. Will you come with me, Finn?
Yes, gladly.
Thank you. Ooh.
This place is always so quiet.
Yes, there's nobody here but us. The chapel was part of the temple, a place to offer devotion to the holy Yune. We approached the icon of our faith and said our prayers, and sat down on one of the pews. Finn sat beside me. The only sound I could hear in the quiet was our breathing. Father, Mother. I'd known that they were mortal, and that someday their lives would end. I just didn't expect it to happen so early in my own life. Was there some way I could have saved them? I tried to think of anything I might have done for them, but drew a blank. The stab wounds were deep. It must have been very painful. May they at least rest peacefully in the world beyond. I looked at the ceiling. My breathing was steady.
I expect this will postpone the marriage, won't it?
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. Weddings are held here sometimes. It made me remember your marriage arrangements. You tried on the wedding dress. You would have gotten married here soon. It's a shame.
Well, the marriage was called off yesterday either way.
Called off? But why?
I don't know. My parents told me when I got home. They didn't know why. They were pretty disappointed about it, though. I wasn't as depressed over it as they were. I never wanted the marriage very much in the first place. Perhaps I was even a little relieved that it was canceled. I was going to come to the temple first thing in the morning to ask why. We talked about it before I went to bed. That was my last conversation with them. I wish I could go back to the past.
Losing them this way was horrible. We never even had a proper goodbye. All they'd ever done was support me, and I'd never had the chance to return that favor. And now I never could. What's going to happen to me now, I wonder? I had no idea. I felt like a vast darkness was engulfing me. You'll be fine. Finn placed his hand on mine. Finn. I told you. I will always be your friend, no matter what anyone says. I will always believe in you. Thanks. I took his hand and laid my head on his shoulder. I'm a little tired. Can I rest here for a minute? Of course. Sleep if you need to. Thank you. Thank you, Finn. What a boy.
I'm glad I found the pendant. They won't find me if I sneak back to my room.
Oh, hi.
Cyrus, where were you? It's so late.
Mother!
We've told you before that you shouldn't wander around outside. What if you get kidnapped?
I'm sorry.
I'm just happy you're all right. You're our only daughter. Please, try to...
That's enough, Misty. She looks pretty miserable already.
Dear...
You had a reason to wander around outside, didn't you?
My father's kind voice calmed me down, and I nodded.
I lost the pendant Mother gave me. I went to find it. I found it, look!
I turned towards my mother and apologized again.
I'm glad you and your pendant both safely made it home.
My father embraced me. His facial hair tickled against my cheek.
We worry about you because you mean so much to us.
I love you too. Both of you.
We love you too, Cyrus.
Aw, right in the feels. There she is! Footsteps echoed through the chapel. Finn and I barely had a chance to stand before they had us surrounded. Whoa. Wow, he is really tall compared to her. What is this? I didn't understand what was going on. I looked around, confused by the hostile glares being aimed at us. Finn, I really hope I didn't just screw you.
Cyrus Testella, you are under arrest for the murder of Keith Testella and Misty Testella.
I'm under arrest. What? No, this must be a mistake. She didn't do it!
Shut up, Rank 1 officer. We have incontrovertible evidence. We will expel you if you obstruct justice.
It's okay, Finn. Let's follow their orders. I don't want you to lose your job because of me. But... Finn, you said you'd trust me. You really meant that, didn't you? Yes, of course. Then I can accept my fate. If there is someone who believes me, I can accept it. But... you're being charged with a crime you didn't commit. This isn't right. I know. But... I can't fight my way out of this. No matter what they say, I'm innocent. I'll never confess to killing my parents. I'll clear my name someday, and I want you to be there on that day. I will be.
That's enough! Come with us!
An officer stepped between us, making it impossible for me to take Finn's outstretched hand. The men marched me away from Finn, their expressions watchful and wary. I turned as we reached the chapel door. Cyrus. Finn's expression was devastated as he looked at me. Bye, Finn, till we meet again.
Stay here until we receive further orders, and don't make a scene.
Oh, this is cozy. I know that.
I murmured the words quietly to myself as I listened to the sound of receding footsteps. They'd forced me to change into different clothes and put me in one of the holding cells. I've put so many criminals in here. I know everything about this place. Even if I scream, nobody will be able to hear it. The holding cells were designed to contain criminals and suspects. Taking criminals to these cells was part of my job as a Rank 1 police officer. I didn't know much about what happened to them afterwards. I never dreamed that I'd end up here myself. I laughed in disbelief at my misfortune. But I'm not dreaming. The cold walls, the sparse furnishings, the crime I was accused of, none of this was a dream. It would be nice if it was. My vision became blurry and my eyelids itched. My throat and my nose hurt, but not as much as my heart. Whether I'd killed them or not would be discovered eventually. But either way, my parents were dead. That was never going to change. My parents were never coming back. I knew they would die one day, but I never thought they'd be gone so soon. I wondered if I'd been a good daughter to them. All I'd ever done was worry them or give them extra work to do. I can't even ask them now. I told myself I had to be strong, but just look at me now. My tears refused to be held back any longer. I just want to see them one more time, just to say, thank you. I kept thinking about what Finn had said. This isn't right. No, it wasn't right. My father, my mother, myself, none of us deserved this. What unknown enemy could deal out such cruelty? I didn't know. I didn't see the faintest ray of hope. Even so, I need to be strong and live. Even if I didn't know how much more I might be forced to endure, I was alive. My father and my mother were both dead, but Cyrus Testella was alive. And as long as I was alive, I could find out what had really happened. I couldn't resurrect the dead, but I could avenge this atrocity. This chaos will not swallow me. Ever. I will survive. The day of the case. Ah, our case. Gotcha. Wake up, Cyrus Testella! Get up. We're sending you to the depths. The depths? What are you talking about? I haven't confessed to anything. I'm innocent. Let me prove it. Criminals don't get to make demands. It's a crime to deny someone their rights, which is what you're doing to me right now. Shut up. Criminals have no rights. The words were an echo of ones I'd heard before, and it made my skin crawl. Yeah. It's like Sir Zoxon from the Hounds. He'd said something similar as he treated the citizens of his sanctuary district like objects. I'll never allow myself to be treated like that. No, I don't want to go to the depths. What you want is irrelevant. This is pathetic, Testella. Try to act like your usual self. Let's go. The distance from the holding cells to the station wasn't very far, but it felt almost unbearably long as I was stared at from all sides. I suppose it's some comfort that Finn doesn't have to see me like this. Maybe he was among those watching and I just couldn't see him. Even if that was true, I was grateful that I didn't have to come face to face with him. I didn't want him to see me in such a powerless state. So no trial either. A substantial group of glaring police officers awaited me at the station. I gulped. One of them told me to walk and shoved me forward. I had no choice but to follow their orders like a puppet with no will of her own. Send me. I see. Not as a police officer, but as a criminal. Not on an assignment, but as punishment.
I was being sent down as a criminal. Cyrus! A loud bang broke the silence as the door was thrown open. I turned. Finn. I saw my partner. He came towards me, carrying a bundle of documents. Stop! Don't take Cyrus away! Who are you? Finn Euclase. I'm a rank 1 officer. I will supply proof of Cyrus de Stella's innocence. I looked through criminal procedure as fast as I could. If the suspect has no second-degree relatives, then anybody may supply proof of their innocence. Since her grandparents are deceased, I assert my right to provide proof of her innocence. You can't. Why? It says I can in these documents right here. The police officer slapped the documents out of Finn's hand. They tumbled through the air and scattered on the floor. This case follows unique rules. Ordinary laws have no effect. Special case, huh? Figures. What does that mean? You don't need to know. Leave now, Finn Euclase. No. I won't move until I get a reason I'm satisfied with. Laws must be observed so that people can live a peaceful life in society. Laws can't be bent and twisted at every turn. Unique rules? Who told you that? Are you planning on pushing this crime onto her without following the law? Shut up and stop wasting our time, or we'll arrest you for obstruction of justice. Try it if you're really following the law. This isn't lawful, this is tyranny!
Finn is reaching for his sword. Finn, don't be hasty! If you draw your sword now, there'll be consequences later.
But what about you? Do you want to be punished for a crime you didn't commit in a way that's not even legal? People are going to believe you really killed your parents. Can you really accept that with your sense of justice? I can't.
Finn, of course I hate all of it, but of course I didn't want to be punished for a crime I didn't commit. I wanted to prove my innocence. But if I make a scene now, Finn will wind up in a world of trouble. This wasn't his fight. Dragging my only ally into disrepute with me wouldn't solve anything. I'd never forgive myself if this hurts his future as well as mine. I have to make him see that I'll be fine so that he'll back off. Don't worry about me. I'm strong. You know that, don't you? I told you. I'll never confess to this crime. I have faith in myself. What everyone else says doesn't matter. It would break my heart to see you caught up in this. I'll come back. We'll meet again. So please, don't draw your sword. For a moment, Finn stood conflicted. Then the tension drained from him.
I understand. I'll wait for your return.
Thank you, Finn. I'm glad I'll still have a home to return to.
A home to return to?
Yes. You, Finn. You'll be my light in the darkness.
I'll keep waiting for you. Forever, Cyrus.
Good grief, the Finn feels. I'm so distracted. I haven't even met the guy I'm supposed to be romancing, and I'm just like, can I marry Finn forever, please? Yeah. And I'll be back. Be seeing you, Finn. I boarded the lift and turned around. Finn kept looking at me until the very moment the door closed.